Students at universities such as BYU Hawaii are ideally positioned to qualify and to serve well in the Foreign Service of the United States. It's a career that capitalizes on foreign language ability and interest in foreign countries, and so is really ideally suited to many of the students you have here. The entrance process is very straightforward, if not necessarily easy. It begins with the written examination, which is administered worldwide once a year, and you go onto the website at the State Department, which is www.state.gov, and there will be all the information you need there as to when the test is going to be administered and where. The test itself covers a lot of contemporary issues, U.S. history, economics, and political science. It also tests students' abilities in English composition and things like that. And it's a test that typically people will take 2 or 3 times before they'll pass it, so people shouldn't be discouraged if they don't pass it right away. Once you pass the written test, then you're invited in for an oral assessment. And that's an all-day process in which they put you in little groups. There's people observing you. They'll do some interviews, a variety of things, none of which you can really prepare for, but which you should be at your best to try and put your best foot forward. They want to sense what kind of a person you are. If you've got a reasonable approach and personality, if you've got some good judgment, they'll give you some typical scenarios and how you'd handle them. And they want to get a feel for whether you could be trusted to handle U.S. citizens' needs and U.S. interests representing the United States abroad. If you pass the oral assessment, then they will check your background and your medical and make sure that you're fit in every way to serve, and then you'll be put on a roster. And then when they need to fill new officer positions, they will start from the top of the roster and go down. And then you have a year and a half to get selected off that roster, and that's how you join the Foreign Service. The 5 tracks in the State Department are: first, the political track; second, the economic track; third, the administrative or management track; fourth, the public diplomacy track; and fifth is the consular track. Political work, you're dealing with negotiating, dealing with important visitors, trying to assess the political situations in foreign countries. The second is economic, and that's similar work, except you're dealing with economic issues, negotiating economic treaties, providing an environment where U.S. companies can be successful. A third one is the public diplomacy tract. And in public diplomacy, it's pretty straightforward. You are dealing with, you are the spokesperson for the embassy or the State Department. You have to work with the press, provide press releases, press guidance, and that can be very hectic when because State Department issues are often very much in the news. They also administer cultural programs, educational exchange programs, the Fulbright programs, and do a lot of that sort of stuff dealing with the universities. The fourth is the administrative tract or the management tract. Those are the people who run the embassy. They are the people who keep the motor pool running, who keep the air conditioners running, who do real estate to make sure people have places to live, who work on building new buildings and administrating the financial systems, the human resources systems, all those sorts of things to keep the embassy up and running. The last, but by no means the least, tract is the consular tract. These are the people who issue visas to foreigners to come to the United States and to take care of American citizens when they get into trouble overseas. It's a very important part of the work. So you can see that regardless of what background you have or what your interests are, there may well be a place for you in the State Department in an opportunity to live overseas and use foreign languages and cultural training. What I think students could do to prepare for entry into the Foreign Service at this stage would be 2 things. First is to take a broad array of liberal arts courses while they're at college, history, some government, some economics, to get a basic understanding of those sorts of fundamental things. And then to go out and live their life. They could apply for the Foreign Service at any time, but they also might want to get a few years of work experience before they did so, particularly if they had a chance to go overseas and do some work. And then at any time there, they could apply for the Foreign Service. Typically, Foreign Service officers enter at the age of 32. That's an average. So you can see that many of them have a broad array of life experiences before they join, as well as a good solid education.